So this story coming up, I really thought it was interesting because it dealt with Ms. Michelle Obama, her statement, and I like this, who they are, these are kids, and believing who they are. We've heard people make those statements. She's been pushing this now. Gender donation. What are your views on that? So we're going to play this from this young lady because I was impressed. She's very young. And her statements to some people, realistic. Some of it is uncomfortable to hear because she gives pretty much procedure of how a boy turns into a girl, girl turns into a man or a boy. And she's a little bit graphic, but it was interesting getting her take on this. But she does a great streaming show. So now we're going to step into it with her.
Demonizing our children for being who they are and loving who they love. Look, that doesn't make anybody's life better.
And I know we've heard that before. Now she's saying it, and a lot of people are talking about it.
Demonizing our children for being who they are and loving who they love. Look, that doesn't make anybody's life better.
Okay. Being who they are and loving who they love. I love the vagueness, right? Because they can go out and like make these very vague statements that sound super beautiful, but let's really break down what that means.
And she's really going to break down this, so pay attention, please.
Being who they are is, of course, in reference to gender ideology and transgenderism and gender dysphoria, often experienced by kids in today's day and age.
And how many kids in this day and age are going through this, and especially with their parents?
Exponentially rising rates, which is just insane. So by being who they are, she means kids either socially or medically transitioning. The big hot button issue is, of course, the medical transition, which the left supports and Republicans do not support. So what she means by be who they are is allowing little boys to undergo puberty blockers, hormone replacement therapy, have their genitalia cut off of their bodies in service of this new identity, become lifelong medical patients for the rest of their life with a multitude of complications because these are experimental procedures. That's what she means by be who they are. For girls, she means undergoing puberty blockers, hormone replacement therapy, double mastectomies, having a skin off your arm flayed off during surgery, made into a phallic shape so that you can have male genitalia or something resembling male genitalia, and having that attached to your privates.
So how many people know about that? Is she telling the truth? Is this a little bit graphic? Do you know people that are going through this as far as with their kids, and then you're going through this yourself? And if you are, how do you feel about it? Are you for it? Are you against it? Is it going to make you vote either way for the president of whoever of the United States?
That's what she means by allowing kids to be who they are. See, when we strip away this really nice language of kids know who they are and they know who they want to be, and we talk about what it really means, how it's really implemented, you see how the image changes. And I'm going to be really graphic here. For those of you who don't understand, I sort of explained how a girl undergoes that sex reassignment surgery. Let's explain how a boy gets that done.
So this is going to be very graphic. And if it being very graphic, prayerfully you'll understand this. But let me know if this has affected you guys. And if kids today are given more choices at a younger age than when we were kids. And if they are, why? Because how does a kid know who they are when they're like a baby, or I don't know, up until 8 years old? When's the time where a kid really knows, hey, this is who I am and this is what I want to be? You're watching Midnight at the Oasis with yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander.
He's going to have his genitalia cut off. He's then going to have a hole opened up in his private area. And if you're thinking, Amala, that's not naturally there. There's no female anatomy in there. How does one keep that open? They're given a dilator that they will go home with, and every single day have to put a dilator in this hole that has been opened up in their body to keep it open. Now, you can imagine a hole just randomly being placed in your body. There's probably a lot of different medical complications that happen with that. Yeah, some people have it closed up. Many have infections. The dilator is extremely painful. Of course, there's nothing natural that's happening for a woman happening down there. So you can imagine all the different medical complications that happen with that. So when she says allow children to be who they want to be, that's what Michelle Obama is talking about. Again, stripping away the language really changes what that means, and it changes how beautiful the sentiment actually is. Now, she says, for being who they are and for loving who they love.
So that you understand that part right there, she's very graphic in it. Does it make you think or rethink maybe a situation you might be in or somebody you know might be in?
How many of you knew your sexuality at like 4 years old? Any of you?
Yeah. So we're really going young, 4 years old. I don't know. You barely sometimes know your name and everything.
No, probably not. You probably maybe had a crush when you went to preschool and you thought, oh, Sally's really cute. Or, oh, that kid, Chris, he's really cute. I think I have a crush on them. Do kids really know what that means? Do they know what their sexuality is? So why are we concerning ourselves with who children love and promoting this idea that children just love who they love and they are who they are? And that's why we should have these conversations about sexuality and sexual acts in their schools, which is what's happening. So when you see parents go to school board meetings and they're saying, I found pornography in my child's library book. And maybe they shouldn't be looking at images of two men in bed together, and they shouldn't be reading a description of what sexual acts look like between heterosexual or homosexual couples.
And I don't know, since I haven't been to school in a long time, is that what is out there as far as some books that they're teaching you this at an early age? Let me know.
That raises a red flag for me. And then the Michelle Obamas of the world will look at you and say, we shouldn't be demonizing our children. We want them to be who they are and to love who they love. It's a lot different when we strip away the language and talk about how these issues are actually being faced in our society. Talk about why we are actually discussing these things. It has nothing to do with not wanting a child to be who they are. In fact, it has everything to do with preserving what a child actually is, which is an innocent being who should not be having these conversations, who should not be confused in this way, who should not be concerning themselves with the ideas of gender or sexuality. It is, in fact, the preservation of what children are and the preservation of the love that children are supposed to experience, which is an innocent, non-sexualized love.
So what is the explanation too of being a child? Is there meanings that are different from when we were children, from my generation to the ones that followed it to now? Are we looking out for children in their minds even quicker now? They're so young, they're still developing. Do they really know who they are? But we're giving them choices. Do we give choices to kids that early for anything? I mean, if and a spiritual side, if you believe a man and a woman, that's it, spiritually. But yet you want to give your child freedom of their choices, then are you going to be open to a man or a woman and a woman? How much of this spiritually breaks your mentality of life now? If everybody does something one way and then they do it the next way, should you change because they change?
So they will run on this platform for who knows how long. And these are going to be like the real sticking points. It's going to be about racism. It's going to be about LGBTQ issues. It's going to be about things like abortion. But the implementation of these things, when covered in all this beautiful language, is actually segregation and separating people based on race, telling poor, Black people that they have it harder than poor white people, telling people of color in general that they don't live life on easy street while white people do, segregating people in their schools, segregating them in programs, allowing certain people to be at the top of the leaderboard when it comes to jobs and affirmative action and college scholarships and all of these different things, and alienating others. So they'll say it's beautiful and we're doing things for race. Instead, they're implementing racism. They'll say, I'm pro-choice. I want women to be able to take care of their bodies. I want them to be able to do all these wonderful things and set a path for their life. What it really means is we offer free abortions and free vasectomies outside of the DNC.
And isn't she talking about things that may have happened 30, 40 years ago that people fought to get their rights equal? And in some people's eyes, it's going back to the same, and not just for minorities, but African Americans, but for a lot of minorities.
Which is a little too much in your face. I can totally understand wanting to be pro-choice, but is it something that we need to be shouting from the rooftops that we've just received an abortion outside of the DNC? Probably not. And they'll talk about children loving who they are and accepting themselves and loving who they want to love and being who they are. What it really means is gender transitions and talk of sexuality with children who are too innocent to have those conversations.
So again, health classes. Is this something that you talk about? And with the books, is this something you put in the books? You're giving people choices to learn so much, which way to go. But how old, how young are you when you can have those choices? If you don't think, okay, knowing all this and being 4 years old, maybe wait until 8 years old. But the way things in society have changed and we've accepted so many things because we don't want to offend, have we hurted society by letting so many things be accepted that we're kind of changing the world? In some people's eyes, making it better, some people's eyes, making it worse.
So don't be fooled by the language, and don't be fooled by Michelle Obama. I know she's so charismatic, and so is Barack Obama. And I see a lot of people saying, I miss the days of Barack Obama because he had so much character and he was truly presidential and he had so much tact and, he really knew how to speak to a crowd and how to represent this country. But look behind the scenes at the things they're actually supporting and what they're actually pushing forward, because I can guarantee you behind the charisma and the lovely face and the character is actually very bad policy. And Michelle Obama made that abundantly clear in her DNC speech. And those are my thoughts on that. After Michelle Obama's Barack Obama's presidency was like, Michelle Obama, she's cool. She's stylish. She did that whole get out and play thing with the kids and was like talking about fitness and just was really like a classy first lady. But then you hear her ideas and you go, oh, wait a second. Same shit, different day.
Okay. All right. So as a younger person, her views, and what do you think? Do you think she was right? I like to hear different opinions, so I put her on because I thought she had really something interesting to say. You may not like her. Her name is Amala Ekpunobi. Amala Ekpunobi. You may not like her, but at least expect what she said. We're just keeping it honest. Midnight at the Oasis. You can contact me, 216-702-3718, 216-702-3718. What do you think about that as far as the kids? Should kids today have so much freedom? I've worked with kids and I see some of them really, really have too much freedom. I'm telling you.